everyone, and welcome to day 9 of my 12/12 birthday countdown. I know, I can't believe we are already at day 9. I feel like this time has been zooming by, but I'm getting excited because it brings us even closer to my birthday, so yay. So today's topic, I really struggled with how to approach it, but I also recognize that it's something that I needed to talk about because, again, if I'm talking about life-changing experiences, like I have to really try to encompass all of them. And this one particular experience was probably really crucial for me and my becoming to this point, but also in terms of just how I continue to understand the world and the people that I interact with. So, some people may find this topic to be a little touchy, and that's sort of why I was unsure about how to approach it. But again, I know that I need to just share it and just see how it goes, and ask that you give me the grace and the space to do so, right? In a previous video, I talked about going away to college and going to the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania, and the school that I attended was a PWI. And if you're unfamiliar with that acronym, it stands for Predominantly White Institution. And, for me, that was a little bit of a change of pace because growing up in New York City, I was around a lot of people who looked like me, through all of my years of schooling. So attending that school was very, very different for me. And then, adding the fact that it was also in a very rural area and I grew up in an urban area, like it just provided even more of a different experience for me. We'll say that. Now granted, going into it, I was prepped for, what I could anticipate. Like I had an amazing enrollment counselor who is still my mentor today, who was like, look, this may be the type of experience that you have. I just want to make sure that you are aware of this going into it. And I still did it anyway because I really cared about the type of feeling I had going to the school, like, really feeling like I had a individualized experience during my orientation and throughout my visit. So to me, that was the most important. So I felt like going into it, I was thinking it would go one way, but it actually turned out very differently than what I had anticipated. And what I mean by that is I feel like I learned a lot more about myself, as well as learned a lot more about compassion during that time. And so, as you can imagine, going to a place where you're the minority, there are a lot of stereotypes that people may have about you, right? And, I had my own stereotypes too. But one of the things that I learned very early on in my college career was that a lot of what I thought was happening in terms of like why certain incidents were happening or why people had certain attitudes, it's not coming from a place of hate or anger. It's really coming from a place of misunderstanding and ignorance. And I really had to take a step back and recognize that, some of the things that my classmates were doing and saying weren't to be hurtful, although there were certainly some who were. I kind of had this thought of, maybe people are just being racist. And again, that really wasn't the case. Like, I think one of the most bizarre experiences I ever had was one of my classmates, we sat next to each other for 2 semesters, so an entire year. And finally, on the last day of class, he said to me, when I'm around black people, I smell chocolate. And I was kind of like, excuse me? Like, what does that even mean? And I shared it with some of my friends, and they were like, what? Like, how could he say that? Like, that's so weird. I'm like, I know, like, that must have been very distracting. And then fast forward to our 10-year reunion, I ran into this individual and we were talking, and he shared that he is actually a smelling specialist, has a really interesting job where he identifies certain smells and things like that. So here I'm thinking this man is saying something inappropriate or racist, and really like that really is what he was smelling thing. I don't know, but I guess if anything, it showed me that I have to practice patience and compassion, especially when I am met with things that I am not expecting. So I guess my overall message is that we should always try to approach situations from a place of compassion and patience, because we just don't know where the other person or people are coming from. We don't know what their experiences are, what information they have. And so rather than adding fuel to something that's already been ignited, let's try to neutralize it by gathering some more information and seeing what we can do to try to improve their understanding or to improve the situation that we may be in. And so in my case, I could have, gotten upset and made a scene with my classmate, but what would that have solved? But instead, I was just kind of like, all right, that was weird. I don't know how to respond to that. And then was able to reflect and say, maybe he doesn't really understand what it is that he is saying, or maybe he, didn't mean to say it the way that I thought he did. And then, it may have been embarrassing for me at the reunion 10 years later once he shared with everyone what he specializes in. So, for me, it was understanding that, I needed to take a step back and really process what it is that he was saying. And I wish I had the opportunity to say something to him sooner, but, life happens and that's okay. And so now I guess I can be grateful that when those situations do happen in my life, I'm able to process them in a much mature way without burning any bridges. If anything, I'm making the effort to build bridges because I'm trying to seek understanding on both ends, right? And that's ultimately what we should be striving for, right? So thank you so much for listening and have a beautiful day. I will see you here tomorrow for day number 10. Hey, thank you so much for listening to my video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe below. Also, I have some other recommended videos for you to check out over here. All right, thanks a lot and have a great day.